Most people who buy a home in Las Vegas or Henderson don't make one mistake, they make 5 or 6 smaller ones, and by the time they figure out what happened, they're already in the house. So I've been watching buyers navigate this market for a very long time, and I can tell you there's a specific set of things that trip people up every single time. Today, I'm walking you through the most common pitfalls buyers run into in Las Vegas and Henderson, and exactly how to avoid every one of them. So if you're planning to buy here, whether you're upgrading, relocating, or finally making the move you've been sitting on, this one is for you.
I'm Chruszhet Hydron. I've lived in Las Vegas for over 40 years. Welcome to my channel, where local insight meets real guidance.
I'm Chruszhet, a Las Vegas resident for over 40 years, and I've lived in just about every part of this valley. I work specifically in Henderson and Lake Las Vegas, and I focus on move-up buyers, people who've already owned a home before and are ready to step into something better. Here's what I've seen. The more experienced the buyer, the more confident they are going in. And sometimes that confidence works against them because this market has its own rules. And if you're coming from out of state or even from another part of the valley, what you think you know might not apply here. So let's get into it. All right, so the first pitfall is assuming that real estate works here the way it worked wherever you bought before. It doesn't. Nevada is an escrow state. There are no attorneys sitting at the closing table. You're working through a title company and an escrow officer, and the process moves on a tighter timeline than most buyers expect. So your earnest money goes into escrow pretty quickly after you're already in contract. And unlike some states where backing out is relatively painless, Nevada contracts are specific about when and how you can exit without losing that deposit. The contingency periods in Nevada purchase agreements, like your inspection window, your appraisal period, your loan contingency, are negotiated up front. If you miss a deadline, even by a day, you can lose those contingency rights. Talk to your agent about possibly extending the deadline if you need to. Otherwise, if something does come up after the window closes, you may have to choose between closing or walking away from your deposit. One more thing while we're on the topic of expectations from other states, if you're coming from the Midwest or somewhere that has basements, I want to set that expectation right now. Las Vegas homes don't have basements. Well, most of them don't. I have seen a few unique properties, but they are not the standard. The desert soil, the construction costs, the way homes are built here, basements just aren't part of the product. So if you're mentally budgeting for storage space or a lower level, adjust that picture before you start your search. And while we're on the things that catch relocators off guard, the DMV. Once you establish residency in Nevada, you have 30 days to update your driver's license and register your vehicles here. Not 6 months. Not whenever you get around to it, it's 30 days. I mention this because a lot of people move in, get settled, and don't think about it until they're well past that window. Get it done early. It's one of those things that's easy to handle when you're not in a rush and becomes a headache when you are. Before you make an offer on anything here, sit down with your agent and go line by line through the entire contract. Know exactly what you're agreeing to, and when every deadline hits, this is not the place to skim paperwork. If you're buying in Henderson or Las Vegas, there's a very good chance your new home comes with an HOA. Actually, over 80% of homes in Las Vegas are in an HOA. This is not a maybe, this is the reality of buying in this market. And there's a good chance it comes with 2. So many of the master plan communities in this valley have a master HOA that covers the overall development. That's the common areas, the parks, the entry monuments. And some areas have a sub-association specific to that neighborhood or building. And know what exactly you are paying for. What are you allowed to do and what aren't you? That's all laid out in the CC&Rs. That's the covenants, conditions, and restrictions. Most buyers don't read them until way after they've already fallen in love with the house. So before you close, you need to know, can you park your boat or RV in the driveway? What are the rules on the exterior paint colors and landscaping? Can you run a short-term rental? Can you put up a basketball hoop? Every HOA is going to be different. Some are very relaxed. Some will send you a violation notice over a garbage can that's visible from the street. But here's the bigger issue, and most buyers miss this entirely. When you're in escrow, you'll receive a package of HOA documents. Most people just flip through them and set them aside. Don't do that. Look at the reserve fund. A healthy HOA sets aside money every year to cover future repairs and maintenance, roofs on common buildings, pool resurfacing, major landscaping, paving. If the reserves are low and the infrastructure is aging, a special assessment is coming. A special assessment is when the HOA doesn't have enough money to cover a major expense and passes the bill directly to the homeowners. Sometimes it's a few $100s, sometimes it's $1,000, and you never know how long they'll charge you for that assessment. And then you find out after you own the home. A healthy HOA reserve in Nevada means having adequate funds to cover the major common area repairs. And ideally, a healthy HOA is funded at 70% to 130% funded level. If you're not sure how to read the HOA financial statements, hire someone who does. That's a small upfront cost that can save you from a very unpleasant surprise. Okay, so now let's talk solar, because this one catches every buyer completely off guard, and I've seen it slow down or derail closings more times than I can count. This is Las Vegas. The sun is relentless here. The utility bills are real, and solar is pretty much everywhere. You're going to see it on a lot of the homes you look at, and when you do, the first question you need to ask is not how much does it save, it's what kind of solar agreement is on this home, because there are 3 different ways solar gets paid for, and they're not the same. Each one affects your purchase differently. So let me walk you through all 3. We have number 1, the PPA, which stands for Power Purchase Agreement. With the PPA, a solar developer installs the panels on the roof and owns them. The homeowner never buys anything. What they pay for is the electricity the system produces at a fixed discounted rate per kilowatt hour. The upside for the original homeowner is that there's no upfront cost, there's an immediate savings on their electric bill, and the provider handles the repairs and maintenance. The downside, though, they don't own the panels. They can't claim any federal tax incentives, and the monthly payment fluctuates based on how much energy the system actually generates. Now, here's where it gets important for you as a buyer, because the solar company owns those panels and they're sitting on the roof of a home you're trying to purchase. They've filed what's called a UCC lien. That's a Uniform Commercial Code filing to protect their interest in that equipment. When you go to buy the home, that lien is on the property. You'll need to either qualify to assume that PPA, meaning the solar company approves you to take over the agreement and the monthly payments, or the seller needs to have it resolved before closing. Typically, have it paid in full before closing. Your lender also has to sign off on whichever path you take. So number 2, the solar lease. A solar lease is similar to a PPA in that it's a third-party ownership model, same $0 down, same no ownership structure. The key difference is how you pay. So with the lease, you're renting the equipment for a fixed monthly fee. It doesn't matter how much electricity the panels actually produce, the payment stays the same. That predictability is the appeal, but the trade-offs are the same. You don't own the system, you can't claim the tax credits, and you're committed to that monthly fee for the term of the lease, whether the panels are producing at full capacity or not. From a buyer's perspective, lease solar is handled the same way as a PPA, so people get that confused or mixed up. There's still a third-party ownership structure, there's still a UCC filing on the property, and you'll still need to work through the assumption or resolution process with your lender and title. Number 3, finance solar, the loan. This one is the cleanest scenario for a buyer, but it still requires attention. So with a solar loan, the homeowner borrowed money to purchase the system outright. They own the panels from day one. That means they're eligible for the 30% federal tax credit and any other available incentives, which is a significant financial advantage and one of the main reasons people choose this route. Now, there are 3 different types of loans used to finance solar. Some are dedicated solar loan products, lenders like Mosaic or Dividend Finance, for example. Others are financed through a home improvement loan. Here's a distinction that matters when you're buying. A dedicated solar loan may carry its own lien structure depending on the lender. A home improvement loan typically does not. It's attached to the borrower, not the property. What that means for you as a buyer is if the solar was financed through a home improvement loan, the buyer generally cannot assume it. It's in the seller's name. So there are 2 options. The seller pays it off completely before closing, or in some cases, the seller keeps the loan in their name for the remaining term while the panels stay on the home. That second scenario is less common and needs to be clearly documented in the contract. I highly suggest that you confirm with your preferred lender on their specific underwriting position on solar loan types and UCC filings, because here's the bottom line on solar for any buyer in this market. When you see solar on a listing, ask immediately, is it a PPA, a lease, or a loan? And who owns the system? Get the paperwork. Have your lender review it early. Make sure title is also aware of it. And one more thing, solar payments can affect your loan approval directly. If you're assuming a PPA or a lease, that monthly obligation may count against your debt to income ratio depending on where you are in your qualification numbers. That matters. Also remember to confirm your current lender debt to income guidelines and solar PPA and lease assumptions. Solar is not a reason to walk away from a great home, but going into contract without understanding the agreement type is how people end up at the closing table with a problem nobody caught early enough. In a competitive market, buyers get tempted to waive their inspection contingency to make their offer look stronger. Please don't do this. We live in the desert. The heat here is extreme and it does things to homes that buyers from cooler climates simply aren't thinking about. Stucco cracks. The expansion and contraction from daily temperature swings creates stress in the material over time. Now, settling cracks in stucco are normal. This is a desert climate and stucco homes move. A hairline crack along a window frame or a control joint is not a reason to panic. What you're looking for is a difference between a cosmetic settling crack and a structural one. So diagonal cracks running from corners, cracks that are wide and deep, cracks that have shifted, those are different conversations. You need a qualified inspector who knows how to read them. So while you're getting a home inspection, your inspector will crawl up into the attic and they will check the insulation. For the 2024 to 2026 period in Clark County, residential building codes generally require a minimum of R38 or R49 for attic ceilings and R13 to R20 plus for exterior walls. Proper insulation is what keeps your home from hemorrhaging cooled air in the summer and keeps your utility bills from running away from you. A lot of homes in this valley, especially older ones, don't meet that threshold. If the attic is under insulated, that's a negotiating point. Here's something else worth mentioning. There are a lot of flipped homes in this market, and I want to be clear, some flips are excellent. Quality work, real upgrades, a home that's been thoughtfully improved, but there are also budget flippers. People who put lipstick on a house, make it photograph beautifully, and price it like it's been renovated when really it's been painted and staged. The way you protect yourself is a good inspection. A good inspector is going to look behind the pretty finishes. They're going to check whether that new flooring is hiding moisture, whether the updated kitchen has a properly vented exhaust, whether the fresh paint is covering something. So don't let a nice looking renovation make you feel like you can skip steps. Do the inspection every single time, and that counts for new construction homes as well. Now let's talk about the HVAC, the most critical system in any desert home. One thing specific to older homes in Las Vegas, the AC units that sit on the roof, not on the side of the house like you'd see in many of the other markets, but on the roof. So if you're buying an older home, that's worth noting because the maintenance profile is going to be different, and you'll want to make sure the unit has been properly serviced. For newer builds though, the units are typically on the side of the home, but here's something I learned firsthand. We bought a brand new home, everything was under warranty, and after about 3 years, we had to have a star capacitor installed to the AC unit specifically to optimize how it ran. Because in this climate, these systems are operating constantly. The capacitor assists the compressor in starting more efficiently, reduces strain on the motor, helps it start faster, and lowers electrical draw, which which optimizes overall performance. And without that addition, the unit was on track to wear out significantly faster than it should. The point is, even a brand new system in a desert home needs attention. Ask your HVAC tech about what maintenance or optimization is recommended for this climate specifically. Don't assume new means maintenance-free. Ask how old the unit is, ask for service records, and if there's an older rooftop unit, factor potential replacement into what you're willing to pay. Also, factor in the crane cost, because if you do have a unit that's on top of your roof, you will need a crane. And if the home has a pool or spa, get a separate pool inspection by a pool specialist, not the general home inspector. So pool equipment, surface condition, filtration systems, these are the ongoing maintenance realities of desert living, and you want to know what you're inheriting before you close. The inspection is your one window to walk through the home with a professional, identify every issue, and either negotiate it into the price or walk away cleanly. Don't give that up. Okay, so this is one of the most overlooked factors in this market, and it affects your daily life more than most people realize. The west-facing backyard. That means when you step outside at 4 p.m. in July, you're facing directly into the afternoon sun. Your patio, your pool, your outdoor space taking full western exposure every single day. So west-facing homes typically experience higher utility bills than east-facing homes, often by a margin of $50 to $150 plus per month, due to the intense afternoon sun exposure. While general summer electric bills for a typical Henderson home range between $180 and $350 or more, a west-facing home with significant window exposure can push these costs to the higher end or beyond. Now, this is manageable. Most homeowners with a west-facing backyard add an awning or a covered patio. That shade structure makes a real difference. It blocks the direct sun from hitting the glass and keeps the outdoor space actually usable in the afternoon. It's not a deal killer, it's just something you factor in. Know going in that it's likely something you'll want to add if it's not already there. So what's behind the home matters too. Lots that back to a community wall tend to be quieter and more private. Lots that back to open desert look beautiful until a new development gets approved. And don't just think about what's directly behind the home. Some properties sit within a few hundred feet of a major highway or a beltway. That listing won't highlight that. You need to pull up the map and actually look. Speaking of construction, I did a full video on the development activity happening across the valley back in March. I'll link it below. But the short version for buyers is this. Active construction zones affect noise, traffic flow, and in some cases, your resale timeline. If the neighborhood you're looking at has major construction nearby, understand what's being built, when it's expected to wrap up, and how that transition affects the community. Some lots sit near power lines, some are under flight paths. Most buyers never pull up a flight path map before they make an offer. Pull one up, I'll also link it down below, but here is a general flight path map. And if a home is positioned near commercial property, a shopping center, a gas station, a school, understand what that means for traffic and noise before you fall in love with the price. All right, so view lots and corner lots carry premiums. The views in this valley, the mountains, the city lights at night, are genuinely spectacular. Sometimes that premium is worth every dollar. Just make the decision consciously. The last pitfall is treating this entire valley as one market. It is not. Henderson alone has multiple distinct submarkets. We have Green Valley, Anthem, McDonald Ranch, Lake Las Vegas, and they each have different price points, different buyer profiles, different inventory levels, and different resale stories. A home in one zip code may be appreciating at a very different rate than a home that's 5 miles away, and that spread matters when it's your biggest asset. So the guard-gated communities in this valley, especially at the higher price points, carry a very different resale dynamic than the non-gated neighborhoods at the same price. The buyer pool is more defined, the lifestyle and security perception influence what people are willing to pay. That affects your exit. When you're evaluating where to buy, don't just look at current list prices. Look at where prices have been trending. Look at how long homes are sitting before they sell. Look at whether inventory in that specific area is increasing or tightening. And find someone who knows these submarkets submarkets specifically. Not just the Las Vegas market in general, there's a real difference between an agent who covers the whole valley and one who works a specific area every day. That local depth shows up in the details. Which builder has the best construction quality, which streets hold value better, which lots to avoid. Those are the things that don't show up in a search result. And while I'm giving you local realities, here's one that surprises almost every relocator eventually. Parking on the Las Vegas Strip is not free, even for locals. Most of the major casino resorts now charge for parking. Some have started offering complimentary parking for Nevada residents with a local ID, but not all of them. And the ones that do have their own policies that change. I'm not saying this is a deal breaker for living here. Most locals aren't parking on the Strip every week, let alone even going there sometimes, but it's part of living in Las Vegas that nobody tells you up front, and it's the kind of thing that helps paint a real picture of what daily life looks like here versus what people imagine from the outside looking in. So let's bring this all together. The common pitfalls when buying in Las Vegas or Henderson, assuming Nevada works like your home state. It doesn't. Not reading your HOA documents, read all of them. Not understanding the type of solar agreement on the home before you're in contract, and skipping or waiving your inspection in a desert climate. Ignoring the lot position and treating the entire valley as one market when it's actually several very different ones. Every single one of these is avoidable if you're thinking about making a move in Henderson or Lake Las Vegas, upgrading, relocating, or just getting serious about your search. Reach out. That's what I'm here for. I'm a Las Vegas resident for over 40 years. I know this market at the street level, and I work specifically with move-up buyers who want to get the details right. If this was useful, hit subscribe. I put out a new video every Wednesday, market updates, neighborhood breakdowns, and the kind of information that actually helps you make a smart decision. If you've got questions or concerns before you make your move, whether it's something I covered today or something specific to your situation, drop it in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you want to sit down and actually talk through what you're looking at, the neighborhood, the numbers, the timing, reach out. Let's set up a call. There's no pressure, no pitch, just a conversation so you can make the best decision for you and your family. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.